I don't think people understand how close we are to war. I mean, how many people are very concerned that we are on the eve of war? Okay, not you two.
I think we're gonna come close, but I don't think anybody's gonna pull the trigger.
I hope not. I hope not.
Cold War Part 2?
Yeah, Cold War. I think with what we said yesterday, and I know you know the story, so I don't know how you can dismiss what the United States accused Russia of yesterday. I've not heard anything like this before.
Yeah, so U.S. officials now believe that Russia knew in advance that Syria was going to use chemical weapons.
And
they had the drone over the hospital.
Yeah.
right.
And it was a Russian drone over the hospital, and then there was a Russian-made jet that bombed the hospital to cover up
the evidence.
Cover up the evidence.
So not only were they aware of crimes against humanity, they participated in a cover-up.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, you're saying Putin and Russia are war criminals. That's pretty intense.
Not all of us are the catastrophists that you are. I'm normally somebody who's pretty optimistic about it, but the way this is all lining up now, this is different now.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the North Korea angle, this is different.
We should clarify, they weren't for sure, when this report came out at least, they weren't totally sure who was actually flying the jet, but they did know that the drone was operated by Russia.
So the Russians knew.
Right, so they knew enough to conclude that the Russians.
The only thing with Russia and Syria is I can't get out of my mind that I think that Russia is still angling for something more. Like something else closer to home, you know, Ukraine, places like that. So there's still a way out and avoid war, going along with what Caleb said.
That's what I think.
I believe. But North Korea, what Doc said, is a completely different
Before
animal.
we get to North Korea and China, before we get there, go ahead.
With Russia, I think Russia's using Syria to eventually get us to concede Ukraine to them.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So I think we're going to get close to war, but I think in the end, we're going to sit down and be like, all right, what do you want? What can we give you? How do we, and we're going to
become Neville Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the generals are
we get
running
war
this.
anyway.
And I think if Mattis and other generals are running this, I think they're going to pull the trigger. I think Donald Trump has made it very clear that he respects the generals. Any position that he can put them in, he puts them in. And I just think they're going to react.
The only thing, though, is Mattis is not stupid.
He's not.
I don't think that he would be reckless with that. Like, if they did decide that, look, there's a national security, you know, basically mandate for us to interdict.
None of us at this table understand this is the difference. This is the end of a book that was written in 1962 called Tragedy and Hope. And the tragedy was the First World War and the Second World War. And the hope was we've now tied ourselves financially to each other. So we have mutually assured destruction with nukes and mutually assured destruction with the economies. So the world will never go to war, and you will never see a world war like we saw in World War I and II. I think because the economy, everything is so bad, it needs to be reset. And I think there is a feeling in a lot of people's minds, very high up. This is a great way to reset borders, reset structures, reset banking, reset it all. I think that, I know that sounds conspiratorial.
But even if it's not calculated, it's lining up that way that it's going to happen.
It is. I mean, you look at what China and Russia are doing. They are selling dollars like crazy, getting out of the dollar business, buying into gold, changing their whole alliance and getting it out of petrodollars. I mean, there are many things afoot right now that are frightening. Why did China put 150,000 troops on the North Korea border? Is that for refugees? Is that to go in and fight like they did in the 1950s? Is that to stop Kim Jong-un? What is that?
I think they're putting a wall up, and they're leaving North Korea out, hanging them out to dry. I think that's part of their plan.
Yeah, there could be a few different reasons. I'm still trying to confirm. That's such a crazy number of troops out there, and I haven't seen a picture on that yet. Now, those reports came from a South Korean news agency, and I don't know. it's such a huge move. I want to see some pictures on some of these movements because
But you don't think North Korea is capable of or would do something?
China?
well, if China,
I'm
if China did, it means they either made a deal with Trump and they are saying, okay, fine, as soon as the refugees come out, we're going to set up triage, medical, all this stuff after you strike, and these troops will move in to help stabilize the North Korean government. That's what that would be for. If they haven't made a deal with Trump, then if there are troops there, that could be the MacArthur 1950 scenario, where they're scared that we're going to move on in across the Yalu River and they're going to come in and defeat any American force that they can. I mean, so you're talking about a nightmare scenario. The problem with, and this is why this is different in North Korea, is because there is an actual red line that we will not let them cross.
Right.
And they have an anniversary coming up, I think on the 15th, so I think around Saturday, which they usually test a nuclear weapon. This final test is supposed to be the final one where they will be able to put a miniaturized nuclear device on a deliverable ICBM. If that happens, it's a red line and we will attack. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, we will attack.
Can't attack. If we attack, this guy's crazy enough to vaporize 10 million people. Seoul is right across the DMZ.
Very close.
I mean, they could easily vaporize 10 million people.
Think about that. That would be Seoul gone, the number 11 economy in the world. They would also launch on Japan. That's the number three economy in the world.
You drop a nuclear weapon on a bunch of ox cart people, and it's going to crash economies around the world. Once a nuclear weapon is launched by anyone, that destabilizes the entire world.
So the USS Carl Vinson Battle Strike Group is now off the coast of Seoul, and that's interesting because they were there a month ago, and that's when the reports came out that SEAL Team 6 had joined them and were doing decapitation strikes, allegedly. And they finished their exercises, and they moved off to Australia. Now, I've been in that scenario before. If you call a group back from Australia, Libo in Australia, you're pissed. So this is not something regular. They pulled them off of Libo in Australia and put them back in an area where they just got back from.
So let's do one more thing. The concentration camps in Chechnya. I'm shocked at the number of Americans who say that Putin is a good guy. You're seeing even Michael Savage and all these people who were rabid for Trump, and Coulter, all of them, now turning because of Syria, and they're turning for Russia. Russia, we believe, if we can believe our intelligence, that Russia knew about the chemical weapons in Syria and covered for it. And now in Chechnya, the wholesale roundup of homosexuals, and the defense from the head of Chechnya, the president of Chechnya, who is a hand-picked leader of Chechnya by Putin, his excuse was, there are no homosexuals here because honor killing would have taken care of that problem already. So why would we have to scoop them up? That's his defense.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
That's basically saying he supports that activity as well. You know, like,
Right.
Yeah, like fortunately they have
Right.
this, right? Yeah.
Putin's going to be fine with that. I really feel like he's going to be
is.
fine with, as long as he's maintaining order
Correct.
And he has
fine with
expressed
whatever.
anti-homosexual
Yeah.
in the past. I mean, no, he is not a fan of them. He was he not putting them in jail?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, taken away. You can't get a driver's license.
Yeah.
So do you believe Trump is losing support
No.
from his base
Oh, yeah.
because of Putin?
Trump is losing support because some of his far-right support wanted to get into bed with this new Russian
Do you
ideology.
think that's it, or do you think they just want it to be
No, they want their
America first? Everything is just America.
Yeah, America first, but that's what Russia is pumping down. And so they see it as you're anti-Russian, you're anti-American because you're pro-war everywhere. They would not support it. So that's going away.
You're a globalist.
Yeah. And if you want to really look at, I mean, I said on Obama, if Obama gets in, he's surrounded by radicals. If he's not the radical the radicals think, he's in danger. This is happening with Donald Trump. He's
'cause he's
not the
losing.
radical those radicals thought he was, and he's in danger. And as I said on radio today, Jason was helping me out just listing the names. You remember when George Bush used to say, freedom's on the march, freedom's on the march? No, it's not. It is in fast retreat. Erdogan, Turkey, The people are crying out to give him more powers and make him a dictator. In Greece, Golden Dawn, Jobbik in Hungary. What's the one in Germany?
AFD.
AFD. What's her name? Le Pen in France. The Philippines, the guy who is telling people just go kill the drug addicts on the streets, and they're doing it.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, people are handing their sovereignty to these Stalin, Mussolini, Mao. We are living in that period again. Unfortunately, this time, I think we're England without a Winston Churchill, and there's no America to come running for us. We better pray for our country, because this is a frightening, frightening time.